Donald Trump reportedly had an explosive outburst on Truth Social. So intense that Republican lawmakers are now openly discussing whether he should resign. And all of this was sparked by what should have been an ordinary budget hearing where members of his own party simply questioned whether he has the temperament to manage the pressure of the presidency. His posts quickly spiraled, becoming so aggressive and threatening toward sitting members of Congress that even some of his most devoted allies began to distance themselves, leaving many people stunned as events unfolded in real time. This wasn't just another bad day online or a familiar Trump tantrum. It marked a moment where Republican senators and representatives, many of whom had defended him through countless controversies, started publicly suggesting that it might be time for him to step aside. When figures within your own party begin questioning your fitness for office after one of your public outbursts, it signals that something deeper has shifted within American politics. To understand how this escalated, it helps to look at what happened earlier that day, when the House Budget Committee held its December 3 hearings on federal spending priorities for the upcoming fiscal year. A process that is usually routine and procedural. Republican lawmakers asked standard questions about Trump's proposed budget, seeking clarity on the numbers and how specific cuts could affect their districts. With no hostility or unusual tone, just elected officials doing their jobs. According to a Politico report from December 3, Representative Tom Cole of Oklahoma, a longtime Trump supporter and chair of the Appropriations Committee, asked a reasonable question about proposed reductions to agricultural subsidies and the potential impact on rural communities. A concern entirely expected from someone representing farming regions. However, Trump reportedly watched the hearing live and took Cole's question as an act of disloyalty, interpreting it as a personal betrayal rather than routine oversight. In reality, presidents are questioned by members of their own party all the time, because legislative oversight is a constitutional responsibility. Yet Trump has consistently struggled to separate legitimate scrutiny from personal attacks. Things escalated quickly when, according to multiple reporters monitoring his Truth Social account, Trump began posting within 30 minutes of Cole's remarks, launching an initial attack that labeled Cole a weak rhino who never truly supported the MAGA agenda, followed rapidly by a second post and then a third, each one escalating the situation further. By the end of the day, Trump had unleashed a barrage of 17 separate posts, each more erratic than the one before, and according to CBS News reporting from December 3, his messages escalated far beyond political criticism into the territory of personal threats. He labeled Tom Cole a traitor who deserved to be primaried and pushed out of Congress, hinted that Cole could be accepting bribes from special interests, and then widened his attacks to include other Republicans who had asked budget-related questions, naming them directly and demanding they be stripped of their committee roles. The most alarming moment came later that evening, when CNN's tracking of his social media showed Trump declaring that members of Congress who dared to question him were enemies of the American people and should face consequences, using language like, "they need to be dealt with," and "patriots know what to do." Legal experts immediately warned that these statements could be interpreted as inciting violence against sitting lawmakers, making it clear this was no longer standard political bluster but a former and current president appearing to threaten legislators for carrying out their constitutional responsibilities. The fallout on Capitol Hill was swift and severe, as it exposed a reality Republicans had long tried to avoid. Trump cannot tolerate even mild resistance from his own party. And when a committee chairman can't ask basic budget questions without triggering hours of rage-filled posts and veiled threats, that's not strength or leadership, it's instability. The response from Republican lawmakers was immediate and unprecedented, beginning with Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, who on December 4 released a statement calling Trump's conduct unacceptable and saying it was time for serious discussions about whether he should remain in office. That alone was notable, but it didn't stop there, as MSNBC's Capitol Hill reporters noted that Senator Mitt Romney went further, publicly stating that Trump's posts were dangerous, potentially criminal, and that resigning would be in the country's best interest. Romney described Trump's behavior as a direct threat to democratic governance and said Republicans could no longer pretend nothing was wrong. This pattern, however, is not new, as Trump has repeatedly turned on members of his own party the moment they challenged him, most famously after the 2020 election when he lashed out at Mitch McConnell. McConnell had been one of Trump's most powerful allies, helping confirm judges, block Democratic legislation, and defend him during impeachment, but once McConnell acknowledged Biden's victory and refused to endorse election fraud claims, Trump spent months attacking him, mocking him as a dull, joyless political hack, branding him old crow, and actively supporting primary challengers against McConnell's allies. Years of loyalty meant nothing the instant McConnell chose his constitutional oath over Trump's demands. A similar fate met Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota, one of the most consistently conservative and pro-Trump senators, who reliably supported Trump's agenda, until January 2022, when Rounds stated in an interview that the 2020 election had been fair and legitimate. A single truthful remark that instantly put him in Trump's crosshairs. Trump responded immediately with a statement that branded Rounds a jerk, stupid, and a rhino, claiming he never would have won election without Trump's endorsement. And just like that, a single moment of honesty turned Rounds into an enemy. And this pattern has played out before, most notably with Liz Cheney, who voted with Trump more than 90% of the time during his presidency and held the position of third-ranking Republican in House leadership. A deeply conservative lawmaker with unquestionable party credentials. Yet after January 6, when she voted to impeach Trump and joined the committee investigating the attack, Trump made it his personal mission to erase her political future, recruiting a primary challenger, campaigning aggressively against her, and ultimately forcing her out of Congress. All because she chose constitutional responsibility over personal loyalty. Even Kevin McCarthy eventually learned that loyalty to Trump has sharp limits. Despite flying to Mar-a-Lago after January 6 to mend ties, defending Trump at every turn, blocking investigations, and even handing Tucker Carlson exclusive access to January 6 footage. When hardline Trump supporters voted McCarthy out as Speaker, Trump stood by and did nothing, proving that years of unwavering loyalty meant nothing when McCarthy actually needed support. Now Tom Cole and other Budget Committee members have been added to that growing list. And the pattern is impossible to ignore. You can support Trump's agenda, defend him through every scandal, and stand by him publicly. But the moment you do your job as a legislator, ask a question, or speak an uncomfortable truth, Trump treats it as betrayal and unleashes everything he has. That raises the question of what exactly Trump posted that pushed this episode from political criticism into genuinely dangerous territory. Legal experts who reviewed the posts pointed to several alarming elements, starting with Trump repeatedly calling elected officials traitors, a term that in his past rhetoric has often been followed by real-world violence from supporters who interpret it as permission to target someone. He also wrote that these lawmakers need to be dealt with and suggested that patriots know what must be done. Language legal analysts told CNN could amount to incitement when coming from someone with Trump's influence, even without an explicit call to violence. The situation escalated further when Trump posted the office phone numbers of several lawmakers he was attacking and urged supporters to let them know what real Americans think. And within hours, congressional offices reported being flooded with threatening calls, with staff members hearing callers say the representatives should be hanged for treason, shot, or warned to watch their backs.